Hello Internet, this is BnB Vee8ight with a impromptu video that I'd like to make into a weekly thing here on the channel. We're going to start coming back as Mr. Vee8ight himself, being me, is learning to record videos on his own using the various tools and methods you use to record and make videos on YouTube. I'm going to start recording a lot of these videos myself, learning new skills, and there will be a lot more audio content for your listening pleasure on this channel. With that being said, I would like to, for my first audio thing in this new weekly format, to review what's called NLBC. That's Next Level Battle Circuit. It is a weekly popular Street Fighter V tournament that happens once a week. Now I'm going to be reviewing just the Street Fighter V portion, maybe not in 100% in its entirety, but for the most part I'm going to be reviewing it in that format. I didn't see the whole thing tonight, not all the preliminary matches from the very start of the stream, but I seen it while it was in progress, and I have a lot of notes and insights on that. So as a 20-year Street Fighter player in the various Street Fighter games, I can offer a lot of commentary and things like that. So I'm going to be going through some of the matches, my thoughts on the players, and various things like that. So, the NLBC 128 Street Fighter V tournament with, I believe, 34 people getting into SF5 tonight. The stream was on NYC Furby in the basement of Next Level, the arcade. The stream is on twitch.tv/NYC Furby. And their Matcherino crowdfunding for the tournament prize got up to $100. So Matcherino is a way that they use to entice people to donate in various means so that they can increase the prize pot of the tournament itself. It was on Wednesday, August 22nd, 2018 was this tournament. I didn't watch the thing in its entirety, but I saw a lot of it, and the very first match I saw was a man named Brian F. versus Arturo Sanchez. Arturo Sanchez is, you know, the crime partner of one Mr. Spooky, and he basically was also running the stream setup as well as playing. So Brian F. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and he's a player who started in Florida, then got very good at Street Fighter, then moved to Wisconsin and kept playing Street Fighter V in every capacity he could. And Brian F., for some strange reason or another, I'm assuming there's an event, as Brian F. is a sponsored player by a group called UYU. He was in New York City for some reason, and it's the first game I got to see. It was him versus Arturo Sanchez. Arturo Sanchez is a sim legend. By sim, I mean Dalsim. He's a Dalsim legend, playing that character through many iterations of Street Fighter and many different games. And Brian F. is a Grandmaster boxer player from Wisconsin, like I said. Brian F., in this game, he goes up early 1-0, then takes the set 2-0, but it wasn't really free. Art played really well, but Brian F. with the rush down, he just took it. It was a free match. I mean, not so free. It was a little back and forth, but Brian, you know, just boxer got in there and did what he wanted to do against Dalsim. It's generally how the matchup goes. A lot of people would say it's a bad matchup for Sim. I personally think if you play Sim at a high enough level and you can get the knockdown and your mix-ups are wild enough with teleport and various things that Dalsim can do, you can win that game. But moving along, next on the stream, and I'm just going to be reviewing the matches I saw on the stream. So I'm essentially reviewing the broadcast as best I can from that point. It was a guy named Master Mike who plays Fang versus another gentleman named Chris Battle Vega. Master Mike is a local New York City master rank Fang, and this match is quite close. Both players are evenly skill matched. Chris Battle takes the second match of the set with a blow up. I mean, he had a very good thing going on. The stun was high on the Fang player, Master Mike. He was coming in hot, and he had a crucial overhead attack on Fang that would have won him the match, but he missed, and it could have led to stun. And then Master Mike sent Chris Battle into the corner and mixed up Chris Battle in the corner to take the 2-1 set for Master Mike. It was pretty free. Master Mike was using Fang's crazy 50-50 miscreant mix-ups, throwing the Vega player into the corner repeatedly, and having his way with them. I mean, there wasn't really a lot to say. I mean, this was a very pokey match. Both characters, be it Fang and Vega, are very pokey. They were going in each other at the mid range. There was a couple command grabs from Vega, but he really couldn't get anything started versus Fang's poison rush down. Fang's a very rush down heavy character that if he can use his gimmick, which is to poison you, it just adds up the damage. So the poison for Fang is kind of like a damage multiplier. If he can get you with the damage, he can multiply his damage like 1.5%, I guess is the way you could think of it. And you're going to hear about a lot of that because this Fang character in Street Fighter V is, I think he's underrated. He's pretty good. Vega, I just think, is kind of on the lower end of the spectrum as far as how good the characters are. I don't think he's the best character, but he can win. It's possible. The commentators here made note of it as in to say Arturo Sanchez, who's not only playing but running the stream himself, made mention of this. He mentioned how, like, no, there's other people who play Vega from around the world and in New York City who are very good, and he rattled off some names which I didn't have written down, but there are some very good Vega players. If you do play Street Fighter V and you go on what's called CFN or Capcom Fighters Network, you can filter your search for Vega players using their tools, and you can find a whole bunch of really good Vega players in a variety of matchups. It does exist, but in this instance, Fang just took it, man. Fang with his poison rush down. He's this large poison character with a lot of mobility and tricky mix-ups and a lot of plus frames on his normals, and it was just crazy, but he took it, man. He took it. 2-1. Like I said, Chris Battle could have taken it if he had got that last little bit of stun at the last moments, but it just all turned around for Fang when he got his momentum started. Then after that, we had a guy named Adnan who plays Sim versus the legend Kevin Landon, aka Dominion Ed. So Adnan is another local New York City Dawson player. Arturo Sanchez is probably the better of the two Dawson players, but they always make the joke that Adnan is the son of Arturo Sanchez. Is like a joke. So it was like, you know, I can't do the Arturo Sanchez little thing, but they make their joke. But Dominion, who's been playing the character Ed in Street Fighter V. Dominion is a legendary Street Fighter 4 player. He was a top 8 at EVO. Extra awesome legendary Street Fighter player, and he's chosen Ed in Street Fighter V over his, you know, what people thought he was going to play, which is going to be Guile, which was a Street Fighter 4 character. But Dominion with Ed here, who has been playing for a while now, has won an NLBC with Ed, and Ed is a character we don't see all that often. Kevin Landon, Dominion here, he just mauled a cornered Sim, and with a super finished the first game of the second set. It's not that free though, as Adnan wins around with a super of his own, but the Ed main smashes his way to a 2-0 win in the set with a free second game. Like the second game of the set, and how I'm going to be describing this is rounds. Each game has 2 rounds, and then a set is 2 games. So it's rounds, then games, then sets. It's kind of like a little bit like tennis, but not quite. And yeah, like Dominion just mauled this poor guy. The Sim player Adnan here, he didn't know the matchup. He didn't know what to do against a player of Dominion's caliber with a character like Ed, who is just not that widely used. If you go online again, like I said with Vega, you'll find people who play the character, but at the level of which Dominion is playing him, it's not the normal thing you see. And some of the combos and mix-ups that Dominion was utilizing in this matchup were just out of the ordinary and incredible at a high level. So then the next match we had on the stream was that Master Mike Fang player again versus a guy named Resland. Resland is like he's a Colleen / Banat player. And Colleen is like, you know, she's another one of the DLC characters for Street Fighter V, who's she's a very res down heavy character. She has like kind of a lot of spamming attacks, a lot of attacks that attack in quick succession. But it was a good start for Colleen, but Master Mike takes momentum back to round 1 of the game in the set, and like he just kind of he started off strong. Did Resland, the Colleen player, he started off real strong here, but then, you know, Master Mike just kind of he did his thing. I mean, the RTSD of Fang. Once he got his 50-50 mid-screen mix-up game going, it was a wrap for Reslan. And he looked like a promising player here with Colleen. But then Reslan switched. He went to the character select screen in the game 2, and he switched to Manat. Manat is a character that's kind of like Dowsim. She has this weird mechanic where she can throw out an orb, and the orb will sit there, and she can make the orb explode. And she's a very like lame kind of defensive character. Reslan did take a game from Master Mike with some solid footsies to take round 3 and game 1 in the set. Then they go to character select, and Reslan goes to Manat versus Fang. In the late game, from Manat clutches round 1 in game 2. Then after a very close round 2, Res hits a V-trigger cancel super to take game 2. They jump right into game 3 as Mike goes ham and corners Manat to take round 1, game 3 in quick order. Master Mike plays no games, completely taking over game 3 to win the set 2-1. It was 3. They went 1-1, and then they went to game 3, and Master Mike just completely overtook the whole set. And then the next match we had was Brian F versus Idom. So next up is the Traveler Brian F taking on the NLBC All-Star Idom. Winner of many NLBC tournaments with his awesome Laura. Brian F goes for his trademark boxer in this game. We then lose sound on the stream, but the games go on. Brian gets a quick lead, but a V-trigger 1 Laura rush down combo comeback to lose round 1 for Brian F, but makes an awesome counter hit combo to take round 2 to Brian F. Then wins a very close round 3 to go up 1-0 on Idom. But Idom runs Brian over in round 1 of game 2. Idom's rush down shifts the momentum, running over Brian F to tie it up 1 game apiece. Round 1 of game 3 is looking bad for Brian F. Idom is steamrolling round 1, but round 2, Brian answers back, but V-trigger 1 rather from Laura clutches it for Idom, taking the set 2-0 over Brian F. And then the next game we had was Shine versus Dominion. Shine is a multi-time NLBC winner with his awesome Ibuki. He was versing Dominion's Ed, Dominion who we covered in the previous matches. This set is close all the way. Round 1, game 1 goes to Shine with a clutch kunai from Ibuki, then some RTSD from Shine to go up 1-0 in games. But Dominion takes both rounds in games 2 in short order and ties it up 1 game apiece. Shine answers back in round 1 of game 3, but Dominion steamrolls round 2 and ties it up in easy fashion. Then corners Shine quickly and clutches round 3 to take the set 2 games to 1 rather. Then we're told Brian F loses off stream and is out of the event QQ. So while me personally, I'm not the biggest Brian F fan in the world, it was a shame seeing the guy all the way from Wisconsin, where I'm also from, even though he's not a Wisconsin native, to just like lose off stream, because they have a lot of people who are in the matches, in the tournaments. They can only show so many people on the main stream, so they usually show the highlight matches and things like that. Then we have Chris Hu, the legend, versus Idom, who we've covered in the previous matches. Chris Hu is a folk hero of the FGC. He's a commentator. He's this Asian guy. He's got broken English, but his English is good enough to where you understand him if you pay attention. And he's known for playing in a long time for Street Fighter 4 with the Akuma Oni style characters. But in this instance, he's going with the brand new character coming out this month, G, the president of the world. And Chris Hu goes with G over his well-known Akuma. He used to play Akuma before that. And he gets waxed. And by waxed, I mean just completely beat the brakes off of no chance. He gets beat bad in game 1 of this set. But he ties it up, winning game 2 with a clutch super. So the first 2 rounds of the match in the game 1, he just gets beat by Laura. It's just crush counters everywhere. It's as if he not only did he not know the matchup, but it's almost like he didn't know how to play his brand new character, Chris Hu. Idom with his Laura just waxed him up. He just had his way with him in the first game. But in a very close game 2, they both used their super at the same time, and Chris Hu gets that clutch super, and his super hits, and he ties up the set. 1 game apiece. But then Idom takes the third game in quick fashion, just mauling the president at every turn. He's countered everything. There was nothing he could do. It was a lion on a gazelle, man. It was like it was caught. The baby gazelle had no chance against the lion. It was sadness. It was absolute sadness. And then it went 2-1 to Idom. And then we had another awesome match on the stream. So after a short little period of, deciding who's going to play next on the stream on the big hot seat, we had Sanford the King Kelly versus Shine Ibuki. So Sanford is the Salt Legend. He's the king. That's what they call him. They call him the king. He's a long-time Street Fighter 4 legend. Back to play Sagat in this new Street Fighter 5, because Sagat also came out this month. Classic Street Fighter character now in Street Fighter 5. And he's versus Shine Ibuki, who we've mentioned in the previous matchups. And the king takes, round one, game one, with all the Sagat Tiger shots, Tiger, and confirms. But Shine takes game one anyways. With the round one, game two, Shine ties it up with a game two super. And he just mauls him. Even though, Sanford got off to this excellent start with Sagat, Shine just somehow, won rounds 2 and 3 of game 1, and just he won that game anyways. But then a clutch fireball, in game two of round 2, or round 2 of game 2 rather, ties it up 1-1 for the king here. But Shine in round 1, game 3, with all the 50-50 mid-screen mix-ups that he could possibly do with Ibuki, and all the dirt that Ibuki can do. Ibuki's this ninja character, and she comes and she attacks you from left, right, center, up, down, left, right. You know what I'm saying? Hold A, press start, do whatever you got to do, because Ibuki is coming for you. She's a ninja, and she don't take no mess. She's the archetypical glass cannon character who has a lot of attack angles and speed over power. And, the fireballs and the uppercuts from the classic Sagat just didn't have what it took at that moment. Scrolling down to my notes here. And then, so Shine and Ibuki takes it 2-1 over the king. And the king saltily stomps off, and he's like, oh, I hate these cheap mix-up characters, blah, 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 like the rest of us in the world. And then we had Arturo Sanchez back up, and now he had to play Shine. So Shine didn't leave the stream station. He kind of sat right there, and then we had Arturo come from behind the stream station and go to play with Shine on the stream setup. And Artie clutches round 1, game 1 with tricky teleport mix-ups, clutching out game 1 with a very solid round 2. Game 2, round 1 was hard fought, but Shine takes it. Round 2 of game 2, Art steamrolls Shine in very short order. Art then wins round 2 of game 3 to take out Shine 2-0 and send Shine out of the event. Like, this was crazy. So Shine is a guy, with his Ibuki play, has many times, just beat a lot of these people, and he's won these NLBC events, these weekly tournament events. He's just beat these people, but it was not to be this time. And Arturo Sanchez, the Grandmaster Dalcine player and stream runner, not only streamed this event, but he also beat Shine and got pretty deep in the tournament. So beating a former NLBC champion was a good notch on his belt. And then, after that, the next match we had on the stream, so we had Master Mike, the Fang player who we talked about in the previous moments, versus Dominion Ed. And this was the character Ed versus Fang. Now, Ed is this very tricky combo character who's kind of, he's got a medium amount of health and a medium amount of stun and a good defense. He's kind of an all-around character. Versus Fang, who's this rush-down character with various tricks. Almost like Ibuki, but with a little more health. So, game 1 goes to Dominion as he avoids all the poison mix-ups of Fang. But Master Mike takes a round from the verge of a loss. So, Master Mike, Dominion needs one more round to win the set. And then Master Mike, you know, he clutches it out the last possible moment as they're clashing back and forth. And then Dominion, he comes back with a 2-1 in very convincing fashion. He takes that next match that he needed, you know, after the comeback. And he just had a bunch of good mid-screen mix-ups with Ed. I mean, Ed again, Ed and Fang, those are both characters that you just don't see people play usually, like online or, you know, all over the place. They're not the most popular characters. They're not bad in any sense of this, in any sense of the word, but it's just characters you don't see people play, especially Ed. And the way that Dominion plays him is a treat to behold. I behoove anybody to watch this event for yourself. I mean, go back on YouTube and look up, you know, NLBC, Dominion, Ed. It's a treat, man. He plays the character in such a unique way that just really sells it on how good this character could be. And so Dominion takes that one with some real good mid-screen neutral action. Neutral is when both characters are in the middle of the screen and they're just hammering on each other, you know, who's can hit who without being hit and things like that. And then we had, as I scroll down in my notes, Chris Hu with his G again steps back up and he has to play Arturo Sanchez Sim again. So Chris Hu is sticking with G. Is this a switch of mains? I mean, Chris Hu usually plays Akuma. He's known the world over for like his Akuma, who's a classic Street Fighter character, Akuma, and this brand new, you know, character who just came out this month, G, and he's playing them at locals, and you know, there's money on the line if you win these small weekly tournaments in New York City. So he's sticking with G, the brand new character, the president of the world, versus Arturo, sticking with his classic Sim, who he's played forever. And Chris Hu steals round 1, game 1 with a cheeky EX flame wheel kick. That's one of the attacks that G has where he does a downward striking, arcing kick with a bunch of flame animations after it, obviously. And he steals it with a cheeky, you know, EX flame wheel kick. Then Art in round 2, game 1, he takes it after G and Sim trade supers at the same time. It was his classic super. So G does his super, which is this, he points at the screen and he makes a bunch of explosions along the ground. And Dalsim, at like a rainbow style arc, throws a giant, you know, solar flare looking fireball, and they both go at the same time, and Dalsim gets the better of that exchange. Then the very next round, Chris mauls Art, and Chris goes up, you know, 1-0. And then in round 2, or should I say round 1 of game 2, an EX flame kick takes out all of Sim's flame attacks and bodies Art to finish Art and clutches to finish Art in that round. But then Art clutches game 2 round 3 to keep it 1-1 in a very close and wildly close. Game 3 is capped off when G misses his super and Art punishes it with a dash up grab, which leads to Arturo taking it over Chris Hu 2-1. Next after that, we have a player who goes by the name of Kami, who plays Akuma versus Master Mike again. Master Mike's back on the streams setup, and we're watching him play again. Kami is a sponsored player by a group called UYU, the same people who sponsored Brian F. He's an Akuma player of the highest order, man. He's an excellent Akuma player and a local NYC All-Star, man. He's been playing for a long, long time. And he's playing this character Akuma now. He used to be known for another character that goes by the name of Nikali, but he switched over to Akuma, and ever since, he's been doing, I would say, better. In my personal opinion, he's been a little more on the winning side of things. But in this particular matchup, you know, Akuma's low HP is not helping Kami versus the poison rush down of Fang. And the mid-screen 50-50s take game 1 from Mike in a very close set. No life in the last game of the set. Mike does a YOLO sweep, which crush counters for the win. And the stream cam then, as it usually does, goes off of the game itself and shows the two players. And it just, Mike has just got his head turned to one side and he's staring at this guy, Kami. So this guy, you know, who's one player, he's literally looking at the other player, just staring a hole of death into him, man. It was like he was saying, you know, without saying, what do you think was going to happen there in those last clutch moments where the two characters were clashing at the end? I had no fear of losing. Like, he gave him that, like, supreme confidence that he was just going to do it. And then, because of that, and the way the tournament shakes out, Sim or I should say Arturo Sanchez has to play Mike now because it's the way the bracketology works out, and they're trying to figure out who goes where. But Arturo Sanchez is to play Mike again, but right at the start of the very first round, Fang rips a hole in Sim's chest, and I don't mean literally, I mean figuratively. Like, he stuns him at the 82nd mark. So all the rounds in Street Fighter are timed. They're ticking down, and it starts at 99. But at the 82nd mark of round 1, game 1, he stuns just Arturo Sanchez. He does enough stun damage to dizzy Arturo Sanchez. And then in a round 2 of game 1, at the 77-second mark, Sim just stuns, Fang. So they're going back and forth. They're dizzying each other. It's this crazy match of like these characters who are just, forward momentum, wacky angle attack characters. But, Fang takes game 1. Mike, despite a quick stun from Sim, Mike and his Fang decides somehow, to clutch it out. And then in round 1, game 2, Mike goes 2-0 over Art in a wild stun fest to send Art home for good. Like, Art was out of the tournament. Fang had just, mauled him in the second game, and it was nothing he could do. He just, that RTSD, the poison rush down of Fang just took it. And then we had a crazy set. So the next 2 people who come up to the stream station in order to play is Dominion with his Ed versus Idom with his Laura. And this was kind of crazy because Dominion just takes over to win round 1, game 1. Idom takes back over in round 2, game 1 with a wild super. Idom then takes a close round to get game 1. Idom shuts down Dominion in game 2 rather. He just shuts him down. There was nothing he could do. It was like how I was talking about how Dominion shuts people down. It was just, Laura was too much. Laura was too much for poor Dominion and his Ed character. And then he wins it with 2 rounds in a row. And then when they get to the third game, because they're tied up 1-1 at this point in games, they get to the third game. And Dominion just gets steamrolled in 2 rounds in a row. And then in game 3, he wins it, basically. In game 3, Dominion gets steamrolled 2 rounds in a row. And Idom takes it 3-0. Like, this was just a mauling. Idom's Laura is a beast. Dominion looked, confuzzled, confused, and didn't know whether to wind his watch or tie his shoes, man. But then, so Dominion then after that had to play Master Mike, who was the Fang player we keep mentioning. And it's losers finals. And they play well, and Mike takes game 1 2-0 from Dominion. But in round 2 of game 1, he had awesome defense. There was a highlight of the first game that Mike played. He had awesome defense. But Dominion answers back game 2 and takes both rounds in a very close back and forth match. Then in game 3 with super good footsies, man, he just bodies, completely destroys the Fang player. He just, I don't know, it's like he hulked up. He had superpowers. He had an ace up his sleeve. He was saving this for this moment, man, and he pulled it all out. This extra burst of energy to just kill off this Fang, and it was like, where did this come from? How did you, who, what, where, when, why, and how, and just completely picks the pockets of the Fang player, and he gets to grand finals, because this was the losers finals, so there was like only 3 people left in the tournament, and these 2 guys were in the losers set. So how tournaments work, if you don't already know, they have a winners and a losers bracket, so you have to be eliminated twice. So Dominion was only beaten once, and Master Mike was only beaten once, and they made it all the way to see who was going to be in grand finals on that loser side. So Dominion in the third game just steamrolls Master Mike, man. He just bodied him, man. Like I said, he pulled that energy out from nowhere, and he dug down deep for a whole wrestling reference. And then now the guys in grand finals. The guys in grand finals versus Idom. Because when they played that last time, they were in the winner's bracket, which meant, Idom is in this winner's bracket, which means he gets to go to the grand finals. And if he wins 3 in a row just once, he gets to, because in the grand finals it's best of 3 as opposed to best of 2. So you have to win 3 games as opposed to 2 games to win the whole thing. And, man, this was crazy. So Dominion makes it back to this grand finals after overcoming Master Mike, who just had a hellacious run through the losers bracket. He beat everybody who came up to him, playing Fang no less, which, like I keep reminding you folks at home, this is just not the character you see every day. But he's extremely annoying. He's got this rush down, so he made it all the way there. Good shout outs to Master Mike, man. Putting in work every week, gets so close, but yet goes so far. And then, we had Dominion again, the run back in the grand finals. Dominion takes game one with some awesome V-Trigger 2 combos. So Ed is a weird character because he has this move that's a spear. It's kind of like I would call it like Scorpion in Mortal Kombat, where he hits you with it and he pulls you close, except this one doesn't do any damage, if that makes any kind of sense. And he's got this V-Trigger, the 2 V-Triggers that each of the characters has. It's like their comeback factor. His second V-Trigger for the character Ed is like an enhanced version of the spear that pulls you close. So he used those in these fantastic, weird, unique combos, thinking way outside the box. And he just completely obliterated Laura, who he had seen in the previous game. Because these two people have played themselves once already in this tournament and they're in the grand finals, Dominion, he scouted them here, man. Not only did he scout them, but he took, the first diary says the bracket. So Dominion's in losers bracket, right? And if he wins 3 games, that finally puts, the Laura player, Idom, in the losers bracket. So because, Laura was never eliminated, she still has her second chance up her sleeve. The Dominion guy has to beat essentially the Laura player Idom twice. So he does it the first time, which is called a bracket reset. And he does it this first time, and it's this crazy thing, And what we call that is because next to the person's name, because the people's names of who's playing who is listed on the stream, and there's like a W for who's in the winner side, and there's an L for who's in the loser side, so that it's easy for the viewers to see. But sometimes there's, when they're both in the losers bracket, after the player who wasn't winner say he gets beat, and now it's called the bracket reset, quote unquote, they both have an L next to their name. So somebody who was a commentator famously said, "Double Luigi," because they both have an L next to their name. So they're Luigi now, as opposed to Wario, I guess, for a win. But he was like, "Double Luigi." So that's like a popular thing that you'll see from people to say when there's both people are in the grand finals. It's the last game, the last, 3 games to see who wins. And Dominion was just a savage here. I don't know where he got it, but it was not only did he get his second win playing Master Mike to get to the grand finals, he had a third, possibly a fourth win. He put it into the highest possible gear you could put it in. And he pulled out of his, bag of tricks everything. He just took whatever was left in that bag of tricks. He opened the bag as wide as he could and just dumped it all over Idom. All of his tricks, man, every combo, every footsie. It was if Idom not only didn't know what was going on, he didn't know how it was going on. He got his pockets picked. He got his, lips ripped. The man was put, you ever see those old cartoons where the guy is robbed of everything and he's just sitting there with a leaf over his, private area, and he's just it's like a cartoon. Man, the guy took the leaf, man. I mean, he pulled out all the combos here. And Ed has this move, it's called Psycho Upper. If you're a Street Fighter V player, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the Psycho Upper it's like the classic Shoryuken, right? It's like Ed's version of it. But it has so much invincibility frames. And by invincibility frames, I mean it's invulnerable to a certain amount of moves. But in Ed's case, it's not only invulnerable to projectile moves. It's invulnerable to strikes. It's invulnerable to grabs. It's invulnerable to, your mama, your sister, your cousin, your dog. It's invulnerable to the mailman. It's invulnerable to taxes. It's invulnerable to death. It's invulnerable to, the apocalypse. I mean, the Lord could come down and say rapture, and this dude, if he does his DP, he won't even get hit with it. It's the craziest thing, this Ed character, man. But Dominion beats this guy 6 games straight. There's 12 rounds of Street Fighter. And he just holds this guy. And Idom is no slouch. this man Idom, he's won, X number of NLBCs in a row. Like, and I'm talking about like in the double digits here. I don't know exactly how many, but it's like he's in his whole career and in multiple games too, not just Street Fighter. He won one in a few other games that were being played. This guy is a legend. Well, he's not a legend. He's like a local hero. He's like a folk hero, right? Dominion is a legend. This dude, and he finally found his character. I think he's back in rare form, where he once was in Street Fighter 4 days, where he was like a top 8 Evo contender. He took a character that nobody thought Guile and won 2 NLBCs in a row. I didn't cover last week's NLBC, obviously, this is the first week I started, but the week prior to this, he also won this tournament. And it's crazy. And so NLBC in their next level battle circuit, in their main area of where they have their business, they have, their big arcade floor where they play, because they're a legitimate arcade, as if those don't exist much these days, but they are a legitimate arcade. So like a game store, like your local game store, LGS if you will. And the people stream, these other games up there, but Street Fighter, maybe not as popular, or they want to have a Street Fighter tournament and they want to have these other game tournaments. Most notably Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which is, another super popular game. It's taken over what's known as the hyper fighting slot. A hyper fighter is like any sort of air dash fighting game or any kind of fighting game that has a lot of wild, crazy combos, like, for instance, the Marvel vs. Capcom series. So it's essentially taken over the slot for that. So you have both of these things going on at the same time. And Street Fighter V is being held in the basement of NLBC. And I actually don't mind that, because Arturo Sanchez has such a good, he's so good at streaming. Guy's the legend, man. He's right up there with his boy Spooky. I mean, Spooky's more so, but I mean, he's the right-hand man. So, in Team Spooky, these guys are like streaming legends. They know what they're doing. And the quality was great. Everything was great. The tournament was awesome. I suggest anybody listening to this go back and watch, as I'm sure they're going to put it up on their YouTube channel. The Team Spooky YouTube channel. Just look up Team Spooky. Spooky spelled with 2 O's. TEAMS, P00KY. Just look that up and see if you can't find Dominion versus IDOM in grand finals. IDOM spelled IDOM. Like Dominion as in the word. Like, I have Dominion over you, DIE minion, right? And just go watch this thing. It was crazy. It was amazing. It was complete, domination. You know what I'm saying? It was the craziest thing you'll ever see, man. So go watch this set. You will never see another person play it as good as you play this set. And that's my review, ladies and gentlemen, of these matches. It's my first time doing this, so we're working out the kinks, ladies and gentlemen. I'm recording this. It's the first thing I've ever recorded audio-wise to put up on YouTube. So now I have to get to editing this bad boy and get it out to you folks and upload this bad boy. So thank you for listening. If you made it all the way up to this thing, please like, share, and subscribe this video. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Tell all your family and friends about it. Do everything you can do to hype us up, because we're going to hype you up. And we're going to be getting more content up very, very soon. Please be on the lookout for lots of audio content coming to this channel. I plan on making this a weekly video. So if you like what you hear, we're going to do it. And as I get better, you're going to get better. So the more I get accustomed to doing this sort of thing, the more I'm going to send it out to you guys. So like I said, like, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.